it's good to be back. Not that I wasn't looked after in Woking, but isn't it nice to be back in the familiarity of the four walls that you know and recognise? There's just something about it, isn't there? Mind you, New Victoria Theatre in Woking did look after us as well. What a lovely lunch they laid on in the week. Yeah, amazing, yeah. Amazing. But anyway, we're back now. And raring to go, getting ready for our next issue, which is December, end of the year, January, because it's bi-monthly, 2 months, December 2021, January 2022. And so, because it's the end of the year, we'll be including a lot of pantomime in the next issue. There'll be a lot of advice that we bring back. And we interview lots of the big stars that are appearing in some of the biggest pantomimes in the country, and we go from there really. And why do we do that? Well, this year more than ever. Pantomime, there wasn't a single pantomime production that went on last year. Everything was either cancelled or postponed because of the pandemic. And so even though theatre has already started up again, people, I think, are generally looking at the Panto season, this year's Panto season, to see whether or not things really have got back to normal, and seeing what the ticket sales, what the crowds are like, the families are like, because pantomime is full of grandparents, parents, guardians, children, grandchildren obviously, so it's going to be very interesting. Let's see how it goes. And you know what? It's so important because we've interviewed quite a lot of people so far, but out of those people, all of them virtually have said to me that it's so important, the pantomime season. It used to be looked down on years ago by other people in the profession a bit snobbishly, but that's a thing of the past. It's given a lot more respect these days, which is good, and it should be given respect because it's a very hard genre to get right. It looks easy, but that's the skill of it, making it look easy, making it look like it's been made up every night. That's the skill of pantomime, but that couldn't be further from the truth. These people are brought in because they know what they're doing. And not one of them has admitted to saying that it's important, the pantomime season, because it's very often a child's very first experience of the theatre. And that's true, isn't it? I think that's even true with us. I think Mini Sardines, I think we took him to Pantos from the age of 1.5 onwards, as far as I can remember. And of course it is. If it's their first exposure at the theatre, you want it to be a good one because you want them to come back, don't you? Again and again and again. And when they're older, you want them to bring their children and so on and so forth. And no matter who these big stars are, so we interview lots of the biggest stars in the biggest productions around the country, which used to be called Kudos pantomimes. It's now been bought out by Crossroads, and Crossroads pantomimes now they've bought Kudos out over the pandemic, I guess, over the period of the pandemic, the last 18 months, they bought Kudos out, and so now it's Crossroads pantomimes, but in all essence it's still the same kind of setup. Lots of the same people work for Crossroads as work for Kudos, so it's kind of the same setup. They're running all of the big ATG venues, for instance, which is why we went to Woking. And whether it just doesn't matter which kind of stars you talk to, whether it's Gokwan, who has done an awful lot of TV presenting, so he knows how to talk to the camera, he knows how to present to people, or whether it's people like Bonnie Langford, seasoned professionals, actresses, actors, of stage, screen, film, whatever it might be. They've all got something to bring to the party, haven't they? and so they've all got a bit of advice in their own right. Whether it might be someone that's just left drama school that's playing Cinderella for the very first time, it's their first professional gig or something. Sleeping Beauty, it might be their first professional gig, it doesn't matter. They've all got something useful to bring along and to talk about, and that's why we talk to them, because pantomime is such so much part of the amateur calendar. It often pays for productions that aren't very well attended later on in the year. The money from the sold out pantomime every December or January, as it might be with the amateur groups, it often pays for the funds are there in the box office to fund productions later in the year that maybe aren't so well supported. And so it really is an important thing. And don't forget, amateur pantomimes were completely off the shelf, off the calendar, scratched out last year, as were all of the professional pantomimes. So it doesn't matter whether you're a pro or an amateur. You didn't do any pantomime last year. So yeah, and so everything's coming back, everything's going to be back, the pantomimes are back, the musicals are back at the moment, the plays are back, and let's see what happens. But we'll bring you more as we go, and there we are, a bit short and sweet, just a quick Panto plug. Nice bit of alliteration there. Panto plugs today, perfect Panto plug. And for our next December-January issue, because that's the one we're moving on to straight away. And so we've got Gokwan, as I say, Bonnie Langford, Anton Dubek, very in the news at the moment. Strictly Come Dancing judge for the first year proper, if you like. That he's a judge throughout the whole run in Bruno's seat, taking over from Bruno. And fantastic, yeah. He's going to be at Richmond. The people at Crossroads were talking to me, actually. We've got the Richmond launch coming up. We're going to be speaking to Anton very soon. But they were saying how the Strictly people are trying to take over the scheduling of all of the Richmond Panto and the PR stuff, because Strictly is such a big show now. That's what happens, isn't it, I suppose? The BBC are very proud of their biggest show, and they're not going to let anything happen to get in the way of that. And that's fine. That's fine. But Anton Dubek is down. It's funny because Craig Revel-Horwood, I've spoken to about 3 times now. He always does the Wicked Queen in Cinderella quite often. And I've spoken to Craig on numerous occasions, and he doesn't come with lots of stipulations from Strictly. I think because he's been doing it for so long, I think Panto was a part of his life as he went into Strictly, and before it became this great big machine that it's become biggest show on TV now, probably, I should think, Strictly. But anyway, let's see what happens. So there we are. We'll let Insulate Britain block up the Old Street roundabout and all sorts of stuff in the city and so on and so forth. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, have a fantastic weekend, because we're back. See you later.